Welcome to my presentation, Zombification of Humanity, a pandemic-related phenomenon, which I am very proud to present at the Third International Conference on Artificial Intelligence Humanities. My name is Srećko Gajović, and let me first present myself. I come from Zagreb, Croatia, so my home institution is University of Zagreb. As well, I am part of international network, Navigating Knowledge Landscapes Network, of which I am co-founder and vice chair. The Navigating Knowledge Landscapes Network concerns how we actually deal today with innovative knowledge and how we transform this in something which actually benefits or somehow influences our society. I'm a medical doctor. I teach at School of Medicine at University of Zagreb, and I'm head of Department of Histology and Embryology, where we are actually very much concerned during embryology part how actually one becomes a human. Moreover, I deal with neuroscience research as a part of Croatian Institute for Brain Research, where actually I organized a very innovative laboratory named Glow Lab, where we do preclinical in vivo imaging. I will start discussing the topic of my presentation from the neuroscience perspective. Actually, this is a paper which actually shows the hypothesis or theory. It is published in Frontiers in Cellular Neuroscience, more or less at the same moment when I submitted the abstract for this conference. I was actually privileged to see this paper before it was submitted, and immediately I said, oh, you actually claim there is a zombification aspect of the current pandemic. This was not really the idea of the authors, but this was my understanding of what they actually presented. And I have to state here very clearly that this is hypothesis and theory article, so that means it is based on the facts. However, there is a part which is a speculation, hypothesis. So let us see what they actually show in this paper. So as a part of things that are already proven, it is the way how the virus, severe acute respiratory distress syndrome, coronavirus 2, how it actually enters the cell. And it is very clear that the virus is as well enters neurons, means it is neurotropic, and it can infect the cells from the nervous system. So the system of entry of the cells means there are some kind of spikes which communicate with the cell surface, and this communication results either in direct entry of the virus by membrane fusion or by endocytosis, and later on the entry again of the virus from the cell. We should actually note this endocytosis pathway because it somehow puts the virus in separate, secluded environment and maybe helps the virus to escape the immune response. And the authors of this paper claim as well that this is the possible way how the virus will actually prefer the nervous system and how the virus can actually be in the nervous system relatively long period without being recognized by the immune system. After infecting the cell, the virus, of course, can escape the cell, go to another cell, and this is how the virus propagates. The part which is speculative. So I have to highlight this speculative part because this is not something which is proven, but just a speculation, is that entering the respiratory system the virus can, through olfactory pathway, enter the brain and be in the brain for a relatively long period. So what the authors claim that there are two separate types of infection. One is what we actually notice these days is mainly respiratory infections, where actually the virus are multiplied in the respiratory system and therefore shed by airborne pathway to other individuals. But what they claim is a separate way of infection. It would be neuronal infection. And in this context, the virus can actually survive relatively long periods of the brain without being identified by the testing system based mainly on testing the respiratory tract. As well, it can go around the body and be shed by peripheral nerves to all systems of the body. So this could be a two-way consequences. First, that if the infection is very harsh, then the infected person is in danger for his life. This neuronal part of infection can aggravate the situation. And another point, that the person which is considered healthy could still have a long-term consequences of the virus being within the nervous system. These consequences are then speculative or still unknown, and still this person can be at least slightly infective to others by the fact that actually virus will exit the nervous system and go to another system and in such a way distribute it outside of the body to another person. As I told already, this is a speculative part, but actually what it shows, that even this current pandemic with one virus express or shows the way that infective agent as a virus can infect the nervous system, can stay relatively long within the brain and the nervous system, have some effects which could be currently speculative, and subsequently, let's say, modify or change the person as well as a part of this speculation. Here I want to say clearly that this is just a speculation, so I'm not claiming that current disease will actually go in this direction and that we would actually see these big changes of behavior due to the COVID-19 disease, as we do not see them right now. I just want to say that this is just an example of biological pathway where a virus can indeed spread globally, be very infectious, and in theory affect the brain in sense of changing people's behavior. This is just a speculation, but shown that there is biological possibility. So this was the ground why I said, oh, you claim that actually the COVID-19 can be a zombification disease. So let us just say, what are the zombies? So zombies are actually part of popular culture. And let's say their definition is not strict. Many things we can today call zombie, because this is just a phenomena, a cultural phenomena. But the basics of this cultural phenomena is this change from living human to dead human, and then some kind of revitalization by the agent of this dead body in undead person which will have some functionality. So in sense of current pandemic, there is certainly not this pathway, means that dead person will turn to undead. However, I want to say that it could be somehow understood as zombie spectrum, so taken a bit more lightly for the purpose of this presentation. So I this light version called zombie spectrum, and I say that actually instead the person will be dead. It will devoid of at least some human features, and by the fact that it is still living, so it is not a dead person, so being devoid of human features will represent some type of unhuman. So unhuman or undead, so this is where I actually claim I can use the word or terminology of zombie. So what would be the features of these zombies? What would be the feature of this zombification? So there would be infectious spread. There is a global threat. The infected persons or unhumans are directly dangerous. And as this is the whole point of zombie phenomenology, there is a need for specific action. So please as well consider this as a partially sarcastic. So the question, because zombie is not existing entity, but in this case we can actually imagine how to fight a zombie as this non-human entity. And you would see that actually we are using these methods as well during current pandemics. So those non-human entities needs to be isolated. They need to be contained in some part, not to come in a contact with a healthy person. There is a question, can we apply some kind of a cure? Means de-zombification of rehumanization, and by applying this cure we would actually give them back their human features, so we would recognize them as humans, and subsequently they would get their all their human characteristics and all human rights back. Or there would be some kind of else solution. And of course, in phenomenology of zombie, these else solutions are very violent. So, of course, to have the technological zombie, zombification should be a technological process. That means that having innovative knowledge in our hands, maybe we can use this technological process to turn first the dead person into the undead person. This is the paradigm of Frankenstein. So Frankenstein as a researcher or being claimed as a doctor somehow succeeded in this fictional story to turn a dead person into a live person using the technology. As technology is not only to be used to turn dead in undead, we can as well make it more diverse or more wide phenomena. If we start with non-human entity, and then this non-human entity, we can actually add the human features to this non-human entity, still everything can be considered that, but as these human features start to be active, this will be the process of creation an undead entity. So this undead entity with some human features can be again identified as unhuman or zombie. As in this case, we do not start with a human person which died and then is brought back from the death to be undead, but we start with something else. I refer this as reverse zombification. So this change, living, dead, undead, will be classical zombification. But this creating zombie from a scratch without starting from the living person, this is what I refer as reverse zombification. And in the digital society, we have many entities which are actually virtual, being part of digital environment, and these entities gain more and more human features. The supercomputer power and adding this human feature to supercomputer power somehow can define our perception what is artificial intelligence. So here I actually make a question. It is not a claim, it is more a question. Is this really to be classified in this way? Can we actually view this in this way? But this is about reverse zombification of artificial intelligence. Because the artificial intelligence gradually acquires human features, it is actually difficult to be contained. Because the digital society is globalized, connected society. So that means the items of artificial intelligence, due to the global digital connectivity, can spread all around. And this impossibility to contain the artificial intelligence makes one of the first worries about artificial intelligence. Can it, therefore, as we cannot contain it, be dangerous? And then, having more and more human features, can artificial intelligence represent a non-human entity coming from the undead sphere to living sphere? So being an undead feature or undead creature, so can we then claim that at some moment an artificial intelligence can turn in a non-human entity or a zombie? And should we actually see this as a zombie? So I come to my conclusion, which I wrote in my abstract. The humanization process applied to technology meets in the middle its reversal, being the zombification process of humanity. And here the borders are very blurred. So it is not only that the humanity will degrade some of their members from the human rights due to whatever reasons we claim. We can as well go in another direction, combining artificial intelligence and human, giving them better features and enhancing the humanity. And in the same way, the artificial intelligence can mix with this in a very blurred fashion. For the end, I want to present you the web page of Navigating Knowledge Landscapes and say this is very inclusive network. And of course, if you would be interested how actually innovative knowledge change our society, changes actually our digital society, of course, please be welcome. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you the successful conference.